Our guest is in the studio. He is the Cabinet Secretary for Roads and Transport, Kipchumba Murkomen. Good morning.
Good morning, Eric.
How are you?
Good. And yourself?
Mimi niko salama kabisa.
Asante sana. Thank you for having me again.
It's good to see you.
Good to see.
We're also here.
Because
I said I'm the one who greeted.
After you've greeted Eric.
Good morning, everyone. And good morning to all the listeners. Good to see you.
Waziri, we last invited you here in December and we had a long conversation.
Yes.
On matters that you were doing in the ministry.
Yes.
And now here you are again today. We're going to have a conversation on matters affecting the country.
Yes.
From your ministry standpoint.
Yes.
And your personal view as well.
Yes.
To welcome you to this conversation.
Thank you.
Will be two people.
Okay.
One, Ndu, will tell you about health.
Okay.
And then Siti will tell you about donkeys.
I
Ndu,
know.
go.
What does it have to do with my ministry?
Transport.
You will see.
Somehow there are places in this country where donkeys actually move people from point A to point B.
No, that's true.
Isn't it?
That is very true.
Okay.
That is true.
Siti, the proverb. This week the proverbs are from which country?
I am going to pronounce it as it is written.
Okay.
Sao Tome and Principe. It's a Central African Republic, yet it's an island nation.
An island nation in the central of Africa. How is that?
Sao Tome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you have a different pronunciation for it, Waziri?
I don't have.
Thank you.
In fact, I've always struggled with it to say, is it Principe?
We were told
Yeah.
by a Portuguese-speaking person, it is Sao Tome e Principe.
A Principe.
Actually, that is exactly what he said.
Okay.
Yes, you've got it quite right.
Okay.
The C is
Okay.
pronounced with a ZH.
How on earth was I supposed to know?
Imagine.
A simple person like myself,
Aye.
who's never been to Portugal. Anyway,
Wow.
misfortune comes on the back of a donkey. Now, that is my version of it, but departs on foot. The original proverb was, misfortune comes on horseback, but departs on foot.
Pardon?
Misfortune comes on horseback,
Yes.
but departs on foot. That's the original proverb. But I felt I need to give it context. So I said, misfortune comes on the back of a donkey, but departs on foot. I just changed the animals from horse to donkey.
To do.
Contextualizing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's your interpretation of this proverb?
I missed the second part, which is I can understand what he says. The parts. The second part is where
Okay.
I just need an explanation as what it really means.
It comes on horseback.
Yes.
It departs on
On
foot.
Oh, it parts. Okay, it departs.
Departs
Okay,
on foot.
parts is the short. It's poetic for departs. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
it departs
Okay.
on foot. Yes.
Okay, so that means, actually, then a donkey cannot work. If you really have to get the meaning, is that it has to be something that is fast.
Okay.
Yeah, so misfortune comes very fast. In terms of a horse is considered an animal that runs very fast, and that when it departs, it's very slow. So when you suffer misfortune, it can come very fast, but to recover from it takes a long time.
Takes a long time. So what is it teaching us? Patience? Or just
It
understanding?
teaches us, yes, not necessarily patience fast, is to avoid misfortune where you can. Yeah.
Kill the donkey before it brings, kill the horse before it brings the misfortune.
No, that because the horse here speaks about the speed of what how misfortune can happen or what it can do. So if it is in Kiswahili, you would say kujenga. You would say generally that. Kujenga, not Kiswahili, but the song that says that kujenga nyumba ni ngumu, kubomoa ni rahisi. Yeah.
Okay.
I think the interpretation is excellent.
It's kabisa.
Yes, it is.
Kabisa. Waziri, you've been in the headlines of late. Not the ministry,
Yes.
not roads or transport,
Yes.
or all functions of road and transportation in the country,
Yeah.
but Kipchumba Murkomen. Why do you think this is so?
I don't think I've been on the headlines in the traditional sense of headlines.
Well, we are not traditional anymore. If you
Yes,
haven't noticed.
that's what I'm saying. Let's just say generally there has been a conversation about Kipchumba and a few other things about lifestyle, what you dress, and all that on social media, and which is strange because I don't know the reason, okay? Because this has been sustained for over a year, on and off. So I suspect that suddenly I became a person of interest to whoever was interested in that conversation. The good story is that all this conversation is happening without really consideration of, it is not the ministry, it's not what I do. It's just that somebody got just interested somewhere to say, what do you wear, how do you, whatever. It's a lot of it about wear.
So why do you think that is so?
I don't know. I'm not the first person, though.
It's been about a year.
It's been about a year.
Have you sat down and reflected and asked yourself, why are people focusing so much on my person?
I don't know. It may be a good thing. Maybe a good thing. It's not my first time to be in a situation where people are focusing on my person. Not at the scale of this level, and of course we've never had a social media at this level. But also I have walked the journey with the current president, and particularly when he was a deputy president, there was too much focus about his farm, his functions, his what. So I think once in a while in a society there comes a season or moment when people focus on those things. And for the reason why I never bothered for the oil year is because I took it as part and parcel of continuation of this political conversation in the country, and I ignored. Yeah, I ignored. It is actually, this is the first time, or along this week is the first time I have made a comment about it in any way. And I suspect that, sometimes I don't want to give myself too much focus. I prefer if people were really putting me to task on like you did last time when I came here, and I hope that's the conversation today about the successes or failures of my responsibilities as a Minister for Roads and Transport.
I think it's extremely important that we do that.
Yes.
But then I also think it's very important when we look at some of the words that have been used, and when we talk about opulence, and that's some of the things that have come out from the mouths of people, that when we are looking at a situation whereby the country may be going in one direction or another, then an individual who sits in a position where certain things are supposed to be done that would hinge on development, such as roads and infrastructure, and that the person or the individual then would be in a stature of opulence, then they would want to wonder, where is he getting his money? Let's just call a spade a spade. Where is he getting his money? And then should we see such flashes of this opulence from him? Okay. What would you have to say about that?
Thank you. That's a very good question, Du. The reason being that, first of all, I don't think the wares that people are referring to, a watch, a shoe, and it's not many, one shoe, reaches a stature of telling someone that you are displaying opulence. Let me put it into context. A shoe or a watch, is not necessarily one of the most expensive things I have.
Okay.
That's the truth. The truth is that every day I use a car that is maybe 100 times more expensive than a shoe or a watch. The truth also is that I live in a house that is definitely more expensive than the same. So these are attraction to just pull a few ornaments here and there. And the third and most important issue is that it's not like I go out of my way to tell people, see, I'm wearing this this cloth, this tie, this watch or this shoe. It's just that out of honesty kind of wearing and being in public life, somebody takes a picture of your watch and so forth, and then it becomes a subject. And you know why there is only a question that Eric has answered that I've never got an answer. Which question is that, to be very honest and to everybody in the country, I don't think I am even in the top 7 of the people in cabinet who have an expensive watch. I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't even think that in terms of wearing shoes, even if you compare me even with current members of parliament, that I would rank the top 100, Yet there is, a focus on that and converted it to become opulence. Opulence, in my opinion, is, the people who display bling-blings and big cars and show off of their holiday places they have gone, their new holiday home they have bought. I thought it was so, but to pick only one watch and one shoe and then play around this conversation and make it look like the whole world now has come down and it is because of one person that I think it is a bit exaggerated. Okay. But I have also, as a Christian, come to the conclusion that if and that is paraphrasing the Bible, if there is something that seemingly takes away the attention, from the responsibilities that I have to my watch or to my shoe, and I have told myself those are things you can put aside and wear something that perhaps will not necessarily attract attention. Of so that people now can take me to task, because the problem I'm facing in the roads and infrastructure and the demands on roads and infrastructure and transport sector are so much that it would be irresponsible of me as a cabinet secretary to perpetuate a continued conversation of that particular subject by only continuing to wear this one watch or the other. I told myself, let's put this behind us. Perhaps continuously change what you wear or where you wear it, so that then that attention is left and I'm taken to task on my responsibility.
To an extent, I actually do agree with you.
Yeah.
Because I think there is a gargantuan task.
Yeah.
In terms of infrastructure, when we're looking at roads in this country, that we know will be able to connect from point A to point B. There's so many things that open up as a result of it. And I think that there are other things that you have said or encouraged in the last couple of weeks that is going to actually bring a lot of uproar. Yeah. Whether we're looking at an increase in levies by 7 shillings or other things.
Could be occupied.
Sure. But if we can just get off into it, watch and shoes notwithstanding, that where are we today? I remember when you were here 6 months ago, and some of the things that we talked about is when we talk about development and road infrastructure, there's so many projects that are unfinished in this country. Granted, started before your tenure as CS, but then we are still in the situation whereby they've not been finished. And then to remove the desire to want to start new projects, whereby a legacy for CS Murkomen could be that you finish those ones that had started. Where are we today?
By the way, again, thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here. And this is a very important show. And this is a very popular radio station and a show actually in the country. And so it gives us the platform to really speak to this issue. Part of the reasons why, and I'm sure maybe that will come up later, part of the reasons why Kenya Kwanza administration is being taken to task by the people of Kenya is communication. And communication in the sense that we pretend to, on our side, want to fight like, in quotes, we say fight like a man, the context of you are a father in a house, you don't want to tell your children that things are bad, so you want to appear to, you posture in your house and tell your children, no, we will get food, we're fine, we're doing well, but the reality on the ground, mambo kwa ground, is different. And I have challenged, after the protests and the public outcry, I have challenged myself and also my colleagues to say, there is nothing to hide. This is not our company. This is the Republic of Kenya. It's owned by the citizens of this country. Tell them what their country looks like. When we came to office, and I remember telling Kenyans that we inherited a portfolio of infrastructure on the road sector, which is worth about 700 billion. That's why they keep saying that I am obsessed with number 7. At that point in time, first it was 900. And the president told us in the first 3 months since I got office, reduce it. Let's do away with projects that have some commitment, but at least doesn't have a contractor, so that then we bring it to 700. We brought it to 700, and we put aside the other contracts. Of the 700, the work that was ongoing, which is what is now famously known as pending bills. Pending bills means somebody has done the work and submitted their certificates for payment. Was when I arrived, 150 billion. Okay, that is where you need development funding budgeted in our budgets. So from there, 150 for the 150 billion. The year that preceded us, which is my predecessor, Macharia, because we just arrived when the new year is starting, the budget was only 50 billion. 50 billion, of which they achieved about 30 or 40 to pay. In the year that followed, now the year that I came in, there was again a budget of about 60 billion, chasing the already work done, the 150. Of the 60, only 35 was paid, or thereabout. I forget exact figure.
Paid means what? Disbursed from the treasury?
Yes, achieved disbursement by the end of the year 2022-2023, which is June last year.
So budget said 60.
Budget said 60, but collections and achievements to disburse was about 30. Now, from that payment of about 30, it reduced the 165 to about 130 something. But, as you reduce, the contractor makes another step, you pay the contractor, you request them, can you continue with the road? So you get the next milestone, they bring back. As we speak now, in this financial year, we have pending bills of 165 billion. This immediate financial year that ended, we were budgeted 73 billion. It was reduced in 2 supplementary budgets, and it came to 51. Of the 51, we closed the financial year only having paid 26 billion. 25 could not be paid.
Because
no money.
No money. We have not been able to raise money. The president already sat us down and said, please, guys, be patient. Let's not do what was being done before by borrowing to do the roads. Let's first fix the economy so that then we can make one-off payment to progress. So the truth is that of the remaining almost 4,000 kilometers of the 10,000 kilometer roads promised by Jubilee administration, which we served in the other administration, we are only capable now of financing. We have a pending bill of 165 billion. That is staggering. How are we going to achieve this in our plan? The first 2 years, the president said, let's live within this budget so that we reduce the fiscal deficit and we manage the economy to a level that can allow us, even if we were to borrow, we get at a good rate and concessional to complete the roads. Unfortunately, in this year, in the finance bill was supposed to sort many of other problems so that the infrastructure sector can be able to access these resources. I just want to tell you that is the state. Now, when people sometimes say that contractors are not on site, it's not that they were on site when I arrived. 3 years down the line, we already had some of the contracts have 7 years pending, some even 10. One like the one in, let me use as an example, Chakarika Marimanti in the Tarakaniti. We went with Professor Kindiki to launch it when he was a senator in 2014.
Let's not go far.
I'm just saying, example.
There's one here behind here called Enterprise Road.
Enterprise Road.
Which has been there for 20 years.
There is one that Kenyans complain in Nairobi, the one for Kenyatta Avenue, all the way to Community. Then you turn from NHIF. And you use Haile Selassie Avenue, the one that has a huge portal near NHIF there, and it has some pillars that were supposed to pass through the Milimani law courts at that place. Again, it has a pending bill of almost 2.5 billion. The contractor had abandoned the site long time ago. And so these are examples. And then therefore, across the country, people... here, Mau roads in Mauranga, Kiambu, Nyeri, and Kirinyaga counties, for example, Nyandarua. And they think Nyandarua, and they think it's only those are the roads that are stalling. The entire country has stalled roads.
Okay, so what I'm hearing here is the sins and lies of the past are continuing, and it's about time that we basically just speak the truth.
Yes.
and did what needs to be done.
And we face it.
Our guest this morning is the Cabinet Secretary for Roads and Transport, Kipchumba Murkomen, and he's here. We've started off on that note of saying, let's tell each other the truth. And we hope that throughout this conversation, it'll be a truth-speaking moment. You said at the point when you became the Cabinet Secretary, you found a portfolio of projects on infrastructure that was to the tune of 900 billion shillings. Roads only.
Yeah.
And those that had already started somehow, 700 billion shillings worth that have already been contracted out. 700 billion shillings at various stages. How did you decide to come to the 150 or so billion?
Maybe I didn't explain myself well.
Please do.
The 700, if you had money today, full amount of money, and you did the roads to completion, you would need 700 billion to complete it. To complete it within the completion period, maybe 3 years or so.
Okay.
The worth of the total contract is 700 billion.
Okay.
That includes the contracts themselves, and also includes the payment for land acquisition, so that you can access. But the ones that the contractors already worked and gave certificates, which is now famously known as the pending bills, is the 150.
So
where someone is already submitting a certificate to the roads agency and waiting to be paid.
So work's done.
Yes.
To various stages of completion.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
It was 150 at that point.
150 billion shillings.
Yes.
Covering how many kilometers?
For work they have already done from the 150. It was 10. You remember it was 10,000. Kilometer road network. Some were completed, so maybe for the work done, maybe 2,000-3,000 kilometers.
Okay.
Thereabout. I actually wonder why I didn't pick their statistics for that, for only the work done.
Okay.
Because some of it, this is the interesting part. Some of it is that the contractor has completely finished the road and handed over, but they have not been paid. They're still being owed a colossal amount of money. So it is in various stages, and I think we can work out those statistics as how many kilometers are complete and not paid, or to what percentage has been paid of the complete road. That's a statistic we can work out.
Is there an explanation why they had not been paid?
That is?
Why they had not been paid?
Explanation?
Yeah.
No budget. What happened, when we came to office in 2013, let me now wear my other shoe.
Let's start from Jubilee administration.
Exactly. Yes. When the Jubilee administration came to office, they established an ambitious program called Road 10,000, which was to tarmac roads across the country, 10,000 kilometers. Various programs were put in place. One of them was called Low Volume Seal Road Program, whose objective was to construct roads of a less volume in terms of sealing on top of it, because they are in rural areas with low traffic. It was expected that these roads, therefore, later would be given maintenance money that will make sure that the roads have been maintained. That's another problem we can discuss later. Those roads have not been maintained, and they are now destroyed. In fact, going back to almost zero, yet the contract itself has not ended, or the contract has not been paid. In this ambitious program, that time we were accessing fairly reasonable financing for major projects from our development partners. We did that access to certain level, and then suddenly in around 2016, 2017,
it froze.
It froze.
It all dried up.
So money now
because we became a middle income.
Yes, exactly. So now money had to move to other important sectors, and of course, the always competing interests of the country. When that happened, the appetite for completing the roads was still there. The demand now, Kenyans were now seeing the importance of having a tarmacked road. So your neighbors are road, the next place is. There is an election that was coming 2017. Of course, political players and the government at that point, now you commit even further.
Yep.
And then all the time you commit, remember the procurement law says, do not procure for a project that does not have funding. But then you succeed in getting the seed money for all these projects in Parliament for 1 year, the beginning, and then the subsequent year, no follow-up to put more money to continue. So you keep starting a new project with seed money and continue. Start a new project with seed money, stalls, But because you have a political interest today, it has changed. You have gone to another corner. They have asked for a road. You start another one there, and it stalls. That was actually part of the mismanagement that has led to this number of kilometers. So this is
all deceit that started in 2013.
Let me say,
with the Jubilee administration.
No, I will not say.
And the appetite for showing that you're doing a lot.
And the demand also from the public.
There's a demand and expectation from the public.
But the lack of courage to say no, it's not possible.
Of not saying that this is what we can do.
Yeah.
But also using that as well as, we are doing 10,000 kilometers of road and we are doing all these infrastructure projects to justify why you're going to the market to borrow money.
Well, yes, if you
politically speaking,
yes, that's the point.
This is what was happening.
Absolutely,
the justification
not just and by the way, I don't want to impute improper motive on those who are leading the country then at the critical sector of the executive and the minister and so forth. They could have actually believed that the economy will be better tomorrow, it will continue growing at the rate that was growing, and they could have believed that the revenues that we raise next year will continue sorting out the infrastructure. So there is no saying. No, I'm just saying I cannot say for certain.
You cannot.
I cannot say for certain that somebody sat somewhere and said, "Let's deceive these people and cross."
You were in Parliament.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
You were not in the National Assembly. You're not assigning budgets, but you were in Parliament and you're seeing the budget and you're seeing the revenues and all the reports from KRA, from the Auditor General, from the Controller of Budget. You could see that clearly this. Whatever dream they have at Transcom, this does not go with the dream.
I actually believed that we were going to achieve it.
You believed as well?
I believed as well.
That you could start this project with the seed money and you'd be able to raise money.
Because it's very wrong to run away from responsibility. I believed then, as part of the leadership of Jubilee that time, as a senator for Jubilee, and holding also, some positions of leadership within Jubilee in the Senate, that we were actually on course to achieving this objective. And I think that I suspect that had we stuck only to 10,000 kilometers without also putting other mega projects on top of it, perhaps we were going to be able to complete it.
Let me ask the question.
Please ask. I'll come back with that part of the question.
One of the things that one understands about governments is that they plan.
Absolutely.
They project.
Yes.
Then they budget.
Mm-hmm.
Now, all these things are rigorous exercises that do not take a day. Mm-hmm. And the planning for a 10,000 kilometer road cannot be a year's project, 2 years, 5 year plan into the future.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it cannot be then that as you're planning for the road, which is part of infrastructure, what you're supposed to do, that you had not, as you correctly put it, foreseen that the economy would grow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
There's this little matter. Of the monies that we spent on our road, we just talk about roads here, infrastructure, that particular time.
Yeah.
Is that money commensurate from the Jubilee government with the roads that were actually built and the extent to which they were completed?
I believe that, yes, largely yes. If you look at largely, that's what I'm saying, largely, because, these roads are also audited. Yeah, they are audited by the Auditor General. And annually, we get reports. They're not just audited by Auditor General, but they are also resident engineers and the responsibility of the agencies to ensure that it's built to the standard. But you will find also some others which are not. And in those cases, we have cases with the contractor. We don't want to pay them because we have a case with them. And of course, you may never, in the fullness of time, you may establish that one or two also roads we paid more than the value of the infrastructure that came in. But at the moment, I don't have one in mind where I can say we paid this man to the full, but the work was shoddy. One road, I don't want to mention which one for now because we solved the problem. The contractor, when we arrived at the office, had said he has finished the work. Okay? But the resident engineer, a gentleman I have commended him publicly in the past, stood his ground and said, this contractor cannot be paid because this road is not done to the standards that is required. And when we came back to office and looked at it, we told the contractor to redo the entire 200 kilometers of the road, and it's ongoing. So there are cases like those ones where quality is required, but it requires vigilance on the part of those who oversight this responsibility, but also those of us who manage from the agencies that are within the ministry.
See, what I'm talking about
is
something perhaps a little more technical and a little more easy to define. Now, you're a lawyer by training, but you have people who crunch these numbers.
Yes.
We know the roads that were supposed to be built by name.
Yes.
By distance.
Yes.
And even by type.
Yeah.
This sort of road was supposed to put this sort of tarmac, this sort of aggregate, whatever it is.
Yes.
My question was, we know the sum total that we've spent so far.
Is this much?
Roads.
Yes.
Precisely.
Yes.
And my question was, when you look at what a road or the roads and the nature of the roads and what they should cost, I'm asking the question, did we get value for money? For the monies we spent
I think I answered that question, that since it is many roads, many contracts, you get largely that we got value for money, or we are getting value for money. Where we don't get value for money, there are two ways of auditing that. Internally, by the management itself, resident engineer, the director generals, and the ministry itself. And also we have government delivery units also here that is tracking what the government is delivering and so forth. But from an oversight side, you also have Parliament and you have the Auditor General. Auditor General does the audit, Parliament interrogates these audits and can be able to tell us, was there value for money achieved? And as I said, admittedly, in most of the cases we have it, but a few cases where I can point out where you do not have value for money, in that case, we have interventions that come in as a result of the oversight responsibilities. But there are cases where if both of us now fail to do so, we also have the public.
Who has the largest responsibility for oversight?
The largest responsibility of oversight is Parliament. It's constitutional.
Mm-hmm. If it's Parliament, then what you say cannot possibly be true. Because if there's one thing this Parliament has shown repeatedly, the oversight role was abrogated a very long time ago.
By the way, let me tell you something. When people see Parliament and parliamentarians sitting with the president and having PG meetings and passing policies of government, finance bills, they are under this very misguided impression that they are soft. The hardest place for me to appear is Parliament. I'm going to Parliament after here. It usually is the most difficult place and the best place for accountability. I can say that again and again. The open public conversation about performance of every other project puts each one of us on notice to make sure that we do what we need to do. And Parliament doesn't function as a whole chamber. You have the Public Accounts Committee and the Public Investment Committee in the National Assembly. You have County Public Accounts Committee in the Senate, among others. It is during these committee sessions that we are taken to task. Kenya also, the parliamentarians also know that if they were going to let certain questions slip, the member of public, the Auditor General, among others. And remember that Parliament doesn't just oversight. They oversight using recite information from the Auditor General. So usually the accounts meetings are actually based on the reports tabled by the Auditor General. And the Auditor General tables reports in every department of government. Maybe I just enter here to say something about why the president said that we need to audit our public debt. Most of the borrowing that was done was to certain infrastructure and to a good extent, by the way, speaks to your question. There is a general feeling in the public that, and it was there even when we campaigned, there was a general feeling that there is exaggerated prices of infrastructure projects. And these exaggerated prices are accompanied by, major borrowing. So that then the debt, and Eric had mentioned earlier when he alluded to the trillions of money that we are supposed to pay in debt based on borrowing on infrastructure, exactly your question. Kenyans want a confirmation that the public debt register corresponds to the projects on the ground. Yep. And I had this when our president, as a member now of the Law Society of Kenya, when our president rejected to participate in that session, I just thought she should have taken us a little more time. This is something which, if the public understand, it is not audit for the audit. It's not that audit of Auditor General's report. There are Auditor General reports every year, but those Auditor General reports still has even more questions being asked by the people of Kenya. The people of Kenya, at this point in time, are saying, can we for once now, transparently, very few Kenyans even know the Auditor General report on the debt last year or the other year, but can we, in an open and transparent manner, do one-off audit that doesn't take away the Auditor General's responsibility, but can we do one-off audit of where we are at the moment on our debt and look at the projects, corresponding projects? You may not go to a project, you may not bother, even that committee may not bother to ask a project borrowed for 10 million, for 100 million. We may as well even have a category and tell ourselves, if you've borrowed for 5, 10 billion, some of them 50, 100, you've borrowed for major infrastructure, can we just find out whether the auditing of that infrastructure, the value of that infrastructure corresponds with the debt that we have? And I think I still want to implore my president of the LSK to reconsider our position, and they should give us the benefit to do it openly and publicly where we are as a country at the moment, without fear or favor.
Probably that conversation should just be extended into how else would they propose, how else would this audit happen. But then just going back into that. I think
the word audit, the use of the word audit, which is an English word, should have been, now speaking to my president as a lawyer, should have been interpreted as the Constitution says, purposively in the sense that to capture the objective of the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
The question is, do you feel that with the kind of infrastructure portfolio that you inherited, the kind of work that's been done, what is pending as pending bills to contractors at various stages of completion of road projects, and then looking at the other infrastructure projects, do you feel that what we are paying as debt is actually commensurate with what has been done?
I would not want to bring my feelings to this subject because it has to be factual. Tomorrow, if I put my feelings on to this, because it's not just tomorrow, I'll be held to account for the same. You will call me again next year and say your feelings were wrong. I really think, and with all due respect,
let me rephrase the question.
It will require a proper audit for me to form an opinion.
Let me rephrase the question.
Yeah.
In the last 9 years, has the Ministry of Transport ever gotten sufficient funding to do the projects that it was doing in any financial year?
No. The ministry, especially the Department of the Roads, it has never got amount of money commensurate to the projects that have been not. If you say projects it wants to do, of course a country has a million things they want to do. But if you say for the projects that has committed itself to do, we have been unable to meet that for the last 9 years.
So year on year, there's what is committed on the ground.
Yes.
There's what is requested for in budget. There's what's allocated in the budget.
And there's what is
then disbursed.
Yes.
And every year you've been running on a shortfall.
Absolutely.
Which means that you're compounding the shortfall going into the next year.
Yes.
Into the next year.
Yes.
Into the next year.
Yes.
Is this prudent management?
I think we dropped the ball somewhere. Yeah.
How far back?
Maybe those 9 years. Yeah. We should have just moved. If we had moved progressively, Kenyans would have understood. Yeah. But once we moved rapidly, they believed that we have the resources to, and we committed ourselves across the country, they believed we have the resources to do so. That is why,
so is it
if
prudent
you look
now,
at the manifesto,
is it prudent now to continue doing road projects when you are looking at raising 70 billion shillings in a budget and you end up only getting 26 billion shillings? Is it prudent?
I'm coming to that. So that's why the manifesto of Kenya Kwanza, in black and white, says that we shall not commit new projects. We will only do projects that have, we will only work towards completing the existing projects. Unfortunately, Eric, we are between the rock and a hard place. Yeah,
we're at a cliff.
Yeah, literally. And the point is this:
it's either we jump or we stay here.
Yeah, this is the point. You cancel the contracts. If you were to say, okay, we are unable to pay it, we want to cancel. You can easily pay half of the 700 billion to a contractor. By the way, the 700 billion, because of the 2 financial years, has now come to about 650. Yeah, so you pay the contractor that money. Yeah. And for doing nothing. You are now in a damn if you do, damn if you don't. So you rather do it anyway because you have already made a commitment. Cancelling it, you first lose the 165 billion. It becomes a debt that must be paid. And then now you start having conflict around it. So you might pay about 200-300 billion without a road. So the wisest thing to do at the moment is to pause, as we agreed in the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto, and that has been the case. We never started new projects. By the way, only new projects that we are starting since I came to office are either projects that we have got support of development partners, where you have concessional funding and you are being supported by development partners, or projects that are related to maintenance or in a different sector where the resources have been raised. We can never do any new road for the next 3 to 4 years. Because of the situation.
Let's do the news.
Yeah.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.